You always like to give it the first few seconds to make sure it's actually live streaming. Hey, what's up, bookworms? We're back with another Talk About Nothing. Now, I know about 2 or 3 months ago, I was on Brian's channel and we said, hey, we could probably talk for about 4 hours, honestly. Well, we're going to find out because we did 2 on his channel. Let's see if we can do a couple on my channel. Brian, how are you this evening?
I am ready for the mic-a-thon. Let's do it. I'm doing
the
great.
Mic-a-thon is something completely different, but we're not going to talk about that because this is a family channel, guys.
Oh, that's right.
This is off to a roaring start. So, guys, if you don't know,
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to come in with some Judas Priest music. Get us.
I don't want to get the channel demonetized.
That's true.
I see all these creators. They'll use video clips. They'll use music. They'll use everything, and they don't get nothing. Me, I mention the name of a band and get a copyright strike.
Right. Well, I interrupted you. You go ahead.
Oh, well, just going to say we were making the Lethal Weapon jokes earlier. So I am Mike, and I am too old for this shit. And Brian, he could definitely be Riggs because you guys have seen his channel. He might be a little out there, but hey, that's what we love about it. So first, guys, I want to tell you, if you don't know, go down, check out Brian's channel right now. Press subscribe because it's better than a cup of coffee. It's going to wake you up because he has... I wish I could harness some of your. You've got Alan energy, Library of Alexandria. You've got his kind of energy that I wish I could have, and I just don't. Where do you get that from? Is it just just living up north? You just stay inside all the time. You're just always refreshed.
I think it's because I'm at heart a performer, and when the red light goes on the camera, I'm ready to go. And it's kind of like. When I'm just walking around my house, I'm, normal as everybody else. But when the camera lights goes on, it's like, bang. It's the same when I was in rock bands, backstage, it's just totally chill. You get me out on stage, we're ready to go. Same with the bar. We used to have a few different rooms in our nightclub, and the main room, we would keep it curtain closed. And I would just be, backstage doing whatever, and it didn't matter. But as soon as that curtain opened up, and customers start coming in, it's like life of the party. Here we go. I'm, ready to be the entertainer. And I don't know. I think it's just a performance type of a mentality that hopefully it comes through the camera. Okay. Seems like it does.
Yeah. See, I'm more of a laid back approach, but I see how sometimes I can feel like, oh man, I wish I could just bring a little bit more energy because I feel like I'm being kind of boring today, but I like to look at it as stoic.
I think so. You're very meditative. You're the thinking man's booktuber.
So yeah, let's talk about this this camera angle that you're stealing from my 2021 to 2020 to 2021 videos here. This is the nice little way you've got the camera angled to do the nice feng shui in the background there. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. It's going to look slightly different in videos just because as I'm seated right now, I'm much closer to the camera. So I'll be a little bit closer to the books when videos come out later on this week. But yeah, thank you. It was kind of after I made my first videos, I sat back and made a little checklist saying, what do I like about what's going on with the channel? What do I want to get better at and improve? And what would be something that would be immediately noticeable for the viewers? And I looked at it and was actually in communication with Matt over at Matt on Books out in Germany. And he's just got such a great eye for design, and he's got a photography background. He's a photographer for many years. And we started talking about 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions, and that while my videos were all very energetic, it was very 2-dimensional because the backdrop was just, left and right. There's no depth. And I was sitting directly right in front of the books. And so to try to make it feel a little bit more lived in, he suggested this. He changed the temperatures of my lights to make it feel a little bit more like a cozy living room. And you're looking at me like I hate you right now.
No, he was trying to walk me through it. And I was like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was just to the point where I was almost like, look, I'll buy you a plane ticket. Just come set it all up for me because I have no idea what you're doing.
Right.
And like I said, I see it feels like there's so many people where I'm just like, I've been struggling with this lighting thing for 5 years. And like, I got an $8, ring light and my light's perfect. And I'm just like, well, must be nice, But I tried to move my room around, all kinds of things several times, not just the lighting, but, just try to keep things fresh. But I've ever reached that point with my channel where if I change something, people are like, change it back, so.
Yeah. Well, but also though, when you film your normal videos, I love how your setup looks right now.
It
I
has.
think it looks. I think it's been greatly upgraded in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I've accepted that this will never work because my monitor is just so damn bright if I'm going to do this from my computer. And I mean, I
Yeah.
can try to cover it up as much as I can, but it's just because I'm still going to look like Casper. And that's going to happen. But, like my actual videos, I feel like once I got that little color change light and I can kind of change it with kind of like the mood, I kind of feel like that's helped a little. Some colors have worked better than others, like the purples and kind of lighter purples really work really nice. But I've been using, red when I'm talking about some horror and things like that. Really, not gonna lie, it's kind of like accessorizing whatever kind of shirt I'm wearing. I'll try.
I think that's awesome though. I mean, it gives viewers a little bit something different each time. Particularly, if you're doing a weekly wrap up, you can change the lighting each week for a month, and they're getting essentially 4 different looks. I think it's super cool. The other part about it too is that, we have this booktuber dilemma of, well, at least I know I do, that do I want to film in a room that's got my books in it that might be kind of a haphazard setup, which is what I've got going on right now. I mean, I've got a couch, thrown over here and a chair thrown over there just to try to make room for this.
Philip, perfect lighting. And he was just like, oh, just the way my lights were in my basement.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway. Hey, like I said, some people can fall out of bed and they're just ready for this life. They're just ready for this. But I know a lot of people here are probably here to hear us discuss nothing but our NFL fantasy teams, right? Now, they're probably
awesome. Let's go.
Actually, I retired from fantasy football in 2006. I ain't played it in a long time.
Me about 4 years ago, and I think it was part of the pandemic that shall not be named was part of it, but I think everybody had just kind of had enough of it for a while, so we never really got it back together. But I played since I was 13 years old.
Oh, I played back when we were doing it like notebook and paper and pencil,
Totally.
That's the way we were doing it. But
totally.
I got to that point where I was like, dude, there's people because at the time I was a Texans season ticket holder. And I remember one game they were playing the Chiefs, and I can't remember. It was Priest Holmes was a running back, and he scored 2 touchdowns the first quarter. There's a guy full on Texans gear, jumping up and down.
Right.
He's on my fantasy team. And I was like, oh,
right.
And I was like, F this. I can't stand this anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, what are you reading? That's always a fun topic. What are you reading?
Sure. I will show you what I'm reading because the author personally.
I do. How is it?
John A. Douglas, The Black Crown. I'm going to finish it tonight. It is good.
Nice.
It is good. I am really lucky and happy that people that I've met through BookTube who are authors haven't written anything yet that I genuinely disliked, because I think that that's kind of an awkward position to find yourself in.
Be quiet, Phillips, in the comments.
Oh. Oh, right.
So John is snarky. Is he as snarky in his books as he is on Twitter?
I'm Philip. Oh, John. Oh,
John.
Yeah. John has got great character work in his books, and in some ways you think you kind of know what's going on, and then at a certain point you don't. And I love that because I did not expect that at all. He throws a curve that I was not expecting, and it's good. I should finish it tonight, and I actually put this in front of Mystic River by Dennis Lehane, which is a huge, Brian Lee Durfee can't say enough of mystery, and I know Josh over at Red Fury loves Mystic River as well. But I had just finished reading Kingdoms of Death, and while it's an amazing book, it's certainly not the most uplifting book.
You need a pick-me-up after, right? Yeah.
You kind of do, and when I told, people on my channel that the next book up was going to be Mystic River, they all said, well, get ready to get hit in the feels. And I was like, I just finished Kingdoms of Death. I need a book about orcs going on an adventure.
Right.
Let's go to John Douglas. And yeah, it's good.
Well, I finished this one today.
And
Liked it, didn't love it. I love the first 2. This one, I'm like, I don't know. So definitely not bad. Just my least favorite of the 3 so far. And then I'll be starting this in the morning. Finally starting some Discworld, the book that you've DNF'd like 18 times.
2 times.
So I've gotten 2 types of comments. One, finally, and the others, I can't believe you're starting with that one. So, Discworld fans are already an interesting collective. Let's put it that way.
I mean, like we were, sharing the other night, I think that because your expectations have been set so low,
Yeah.
the bar is so unbelievably low for you on this. I think you might even find it better than other people are
It's
telling you.
285 pages, and it's like junior high font size. So
Right,
yeah,
big
I imagine
margins,
this
and
won't be. I mean, I think that like the prologue of most Wheel of Time books are longer than this, honestly. So
for sure it is. I mean,
the promise I made today is that I'll read at least the 5 books that one patron sent me. I'll do at least that. So that's just people are just worried I'm gonna hate it and just not want to read anymore. I think that's really what I'm concerned about.
Well, I mean, I think in some regard it's valid, because when I DNF'd The Color of Magic the first time, it was forever ago, and I legitimately had no interest in Discworld because of it. And then last summer I read Guards. The only reason was I was in a readathon, and one of the prompts was you had to pick a book that had some kind of a mythical creature or monster on the cover, and there's these little dragons on the cover of Guards. So for no other reason, I picked it up and read it, and it was one of my favorite books of last year. Its sequel book was my book of the month last month for March, Men at Arms. So clearly, I'm a big Discworld, fan. I just didn't know it because I gave up on it way too soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. My expectations have been set so low at this point that even if it's just like readable, I think it'll be enjoyable. I don't really see how I could hate it so much that I would just be like, F this. Again, it's so short that I'll just be like, if I don't really care for it, okay, maybe the next one will be better. But like I said, they're so short. I feel like saying I'll do 5 of them feels like I'm giving it a real chance.
I mean, look, you read Cradle Book 1. I can tell you right now, The Color of Magic is so much. Every stream I go on from now on, I'm going to dunk on Cradle, I think. Anyway, yeah, it's not worse than
I'm not
that.
the only one, because I'm just like, it has a huge fandom, so I know that the guy's doing something right, and I'm not trashing because Will White, he actually sent me a message and said thank you so much for trying the series. And I thought it was really cool of him. When I was less than happy about it, and I don't ever think I was just ugly. I was just like, guys, it's just not for me. That's not my style of storytelling, like whatsoever. But I just have a hard time understanding why my viewers thought that I would like that. I mean, they're all like, oh, the characters don't matter. I'm like, excuse me? I was like, that's kind of like my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if you had the right LitRPG in your hands, you would like it. But I know that was the wrong one. And yeah, I've heard amazing things about Will White. I've seen some interviews with him. I'm sure the guy's delightful. It's just that there in LitRPG, there's something called a subgenre called cultivation. And that is really the most cultivation series there is. And it's not my bag. So that's all.
Terry, you should see what it's like doing an actual live stream with Philip. He'll make me feel like a junior high student because of his giant brain. So yeah,
exactly.
I don't think I have a Texas accent. If it slips in every once in a while, I think it's a surprise, because I have so many people being like, "Really, you're from Texas? I thought you'd sound, I guess, more redneck or something." I don't know, but I don't. I mean, you go to like Lufkin or something. Yeah, you get the people who talk like this, and it's not a joke, But I don't think that I do that. We don't all do that here. Houston's a melting pot. It's just a huge melting pot of every culture you can think of. So we don't have. I think
you have some Southern in your voice, but I wouldn't necessarily place it right on Texas.
I did say y'all.
Yeah,
I'm really good with y'all. Yeah,
that's true.
Whatever it is, you Yankees said something like yuns or something. I don't even know what the heck that means. I don't know. Y'all are weird.
I have no idea. We don't leave the house.
Do you call soda pop?
Okay, I call soda, but everybody in this entire state besides me calls it pop. And the only reason why is because when I was a freshman in college at Wisconsin, all of my roommates and some of my fraternity brothers were all from the East Coast, and they looked at me like I was absolutely insane when I asked somebody, for a pop. And I felt so stupid saying it. It immediately shifted in my brain. All right, it's soda from now on. But yeah, up here, pop.
See, we have the same here. It's like, no matter what it is, we call it a Coke. It could be a Sprite. It could be a Dr. Pepper. We call it a Coke. It's just, give me a Coke. Yeah. That's what we call it. But, okay, Tori says, she says y'all. Okay. All right.
She does.
Hey, Brian, you want to take this one?
Well, I don't know. You're kind of the lit RPG expert of BookTube.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah. Well, lit RPG is, think of it as kind of like a game in book form. So a good lit RPG has a compelling narrative story. So if you like video games like something like Fallout or Mass Effect or Uncharted, something that, there's a clear adventure story, lit RPG tends to go into that direction. It can usually involve some sort of a portal fantasy where somebody, say from Earth, is transported to another land where they could, maybe they're human, maybe they're not human anymore. They might even get to pick their race, kind of like if you were playing a Dungeons and Dragons game. But there's a couple of things that are pretty consistent throughout the genre. One being item acquisition. You're always trying to improve the different items that you have. Maybe you get a dagger in one chapter and you're trying to upgrade it to a better sword. Same with magical powers and skills and abilities. You might start off kind of weak, but as the story unfolds and the worlds get more epic and bigger, we're going to need a protagonist that has kind of higher level abilities. And lit RPG is really the journey from where that person starts to where they end up. Now, in the hands of the skilled author, this is really compelling, fun stuff. Some of the funniest books I've ever read are in lit RPG. But there's a lot of kind of hacky lit RPG out there too. Almost all of it up until recently has been self-published. Matt Dinneman just got picked up by a trad publisher for Dungeon Crawler Carl, but most of it is all, independently self-published. But they're great stories, and in the hands of the right author, some of these characters will be your favorite in literature, and you just want to find out what him and or her and their companions get up to. I would have never thought in a million years I'd be into it. I'd listen to all of it almost on Audible because it's a strange thing to read. For the most part, it's more fun for me to listen to. I don't know. Is that kind of a intro 101 a little bit?
I mean, I don't know. I still don't get it. Pretty much, I'm just like, I don't want to. I don't want to read your playthrough of Destiny. That's what it sounds like to me. Like your online game that you're playing and you're grinding to get a better drop. That's what it sounds like.
But it's not like that. Most of the story is focused on the plot and the story. It's just the elements of, say, a battle might involve a sword that you picked up and it, maybe it's better against goblins than a normal blade, something like that. It's woven into an actual story, but it's not, hey, go kill 10 goblins. And then it's chapter 2, go kill 50 goblins. And then it's chapter 3, go kill 100 goblins, skill up. It's not that. That would be boring. So if it doesn't have a compelling narrative, I'm not interested in it. And that's why I think kind of some of the stuff that I've done on my channel is useful because I've sorted through a ton of very mediocre and average lit RPG to pick out the winners and kind of the cream of the crop of it. How does the Macho Man say it? The cream of the crop?
Rises to the top.
The cream of the crop rises to the top. Yeah, I can't do him. You could probably do him better.
So there's two things here. Pillars of the Earth. Have you read Pillars of the Earth?
I have not, but it is on my list.
Okay. So Pillars of the Earth. First, I'm glad that you're reading. And Jonathan, don't you do Star Wars EU content? Because I think because there's so few of us that ever touched Star Wars EU, like Legends, they call it now. But, I call it canon. But I'm pretty sure that's where I know the name from. So if so, hey, awesome. Keep fighting the good fight. And I think there was a really good comment here. Lit RPG is when you combine the worst part of games and shove it to the format of a novel.
Sure. It's not for everybody. But you know what? Romanticy's not for everybody either. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
I like the one comment that said, this is really dull. Well, hey, you get what you pay for.
You know what? Romanticy, there's a reason. Like I don't go to Barnes and Noble anymore. But you know what? The reason that they're changing their entire stores to be mostly Romanticy is because it's selling a lot. So,
yeah.
It's like when the record stores kept packing in there, they just kept packing in Taylor Swift and Nickelback records. I mean, got to give the majority what they want, right? I ask about the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant? You may ask. I may tell you I know nothing about them. I own them, but I have not read them. You touched those before?
I have not. And it's weird because that's Lord Fowl's Bane, right? So I remember being in 8th grade, like forever ago. And there was a guy sitting next to me at a desk reading Lord Fowl's Bane. And I just remember the cover of the book was really cool, but that's as far as I ever got with it.
Here you go. Dungeon Crawler Crawl. People have been recommending that a lot, and I was just like, "Is that Cradle-ish?" Because they're like, "That's
No,
more humor than Cradle." And I'm like, "Oh,
no, it's not
that's
Cradle at all.
that's the other problem with
It's
Cradle is it tried to be so damn self-serious. It's like, dude, stop, jeez.
yeah. I mean, but if you think about Wheel of Time, for example, Rand starts off the farm boy, right? But where are we at the very end of the Wheel of Time? He's leveled up. He's powered up.
Yeah, he had great
He's
character moments along the way, though.
right. Well, certainly not in Cradle, but in Dungeon Crawl Carl, absolutely.
Okay.
But and I think somebody in the comment also mentioned something about Audible or audiobooks for that. I tend to like them better.
Yeah, but oh no, you can't read it. You got an audio, but like, guys, I mean, if you watch the channel and you're telling me to audiobook stuff, you're not listening.
Yeah.
When I say that, but yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm
But
glad that he's got a real paycheck coming for it. Then, so good for him.
Yeah. I mean, my last pitch on the audio for you is almost like it's anything that is complicated, like epic fantasy. I think I would have a difficult time with on Audible. So like Malazan or Realm of the Elderlings or
I
Wheel
can't
of
even
Time.
imagine how people are doing that on audio.
There's no way I could ever do it. LitRPG
I mean,
is
it's
just
hard for me
fun.
reading Malazan and keeping everything
Right?
straight. I can't imagine just going in one ear and out the other. Man,
No, I couldn't do it.
I always say I could tell in my video comments what people read the books and what people listen to them, because if they're spelling all the names wrong, they probably listen to it.
Yeah.
But hey, there we go. Pillars of the Earth, yeah, it's great. I'm going to be reading World Without End soon. I'd hope to do it in June, but I made a deal on something with this author you might have heard of called I think something about Salvatore. He actually made me a really nice offer, and I accepted, which means I'm going to be reading the first book in the Demon War saga in June, and it's a big boy because he sent me the whole set. He sent me the whole set because they got them all remastered, and they look really, really nice. Or remastered, re-released, and remastered like their albums or something. But giving them the nice matching sets and all that, and I'm excited about. I mean, look, I love Drizzt. I think Drizzt is amazing, but you could read 5 Drizzt novels in for the time it's going to take to read that one, because it's so massive. But I did tell him that he sent me that. I was like, I at least want to read the first one,
for sure. Well, I mean, I guess the good news there is that you've read enough of his other books right now that you're in good hands.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it all. I think he's a great author. And dude's a legend. I mean, he is. I mean,
yeah.
No matter how you feel about his books, I mean, the guy was doing this before
Absolutely.
I was born, basically. And he's been a bestseller every time. The minute he puts something out, it's a bestseller. So he's doing something right. But yeah, if you guys haven't done Drizzt, it's so much fun. It's real.
I loved your interview with him. That was awesome. That was a highlight for me last year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that were like authors saying they grew up reading his stuff, and they got a lot of good advice in that video. And that video I did with Ryan Cahill, I was like, that feel like that really, even if you're not into the series, you just want like writing advice. I think that said some really good things in there. And I learned a lot about the the self-publishing game, because I won't lie. I was quite ignorant on the whole process, because I did have that attitude of, wow, you're an indie author, you're not good enough. You're not good enough to get a book deal, and I was
same here. Yeah, I agree. I think Ryan Cahill's series has dissuaded me of that fact, as has Philip Chase's, as have many of the other books that I've read. Tori's book, lots of them.
Skang Biscuit, why don't you just take a knife and just punch it through my heart, man? God.
Oh no.
I mean, look, I can't say First Law is for everybody. I feel like it's gonna be for more people than not, if you're okay with the content. But I mean, my wife read book 1, and that was a year ago. She hasn't picked up book 2 yet, and I don't know that she's really felt an itch to do that. So I mean,
yeah, and that's kind of a unique comment, because I normally hear they don't like the first book as much because there's not a whole lot of plot movement, and then they get into it a little bit more in book 2 and 3, right?
I mean, I would tell you to push through. I think you'll like it, but again, dude, life's too short to read stuff you're not enjoying, I say. So
agreed.
Glad there's all this Pillars of the Earth love. Good for y'all. It's a really good book. I can't wait to read more of them. Thing was, it's like I had no idea that Kingsbridge was a series until I actually started this channel, because I read Pillars of the Earth when I was a junior in high school, so I had no idea. I'm going to be reading for the first. I'm just pick it up. This is gonna be the first time I've read Terry Pratchett. It's gonna be the first time. So there we go.
Yeah,
I read Good Omens, but I think that was just I don't know how much of that was him and how much was Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, to answer the question, Terry Pratchett, yeah, Guards. I loved Men at Arms, the book after Guards. I triple loved. It was my book of the month for March. Love it.
Right on, Jonathan. Keep fighting the good fight, man. I people
right.
all the time. They'll ask me to do Star Wars content, and then when I do it, it's like crickets. You know, but hey, at least there are some of us out there. And some of us, I feel like the EU has been making a resurgence. It's not hard to do when they realize how bad the Disney canon is. It's easy for them to go back and be like, yeah, I think this was actually done better. You know, and the thing was, like, people like, oh, you were never going to give it a chance because you love the EU. Dude, I was so excited. Not even gonna lie. I was so excited when Disney bought Star Wars because at the time I was like, it can't be worse than the prequels. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time. And I was okay. I was like, look, it sucks because I've been following the EU for decades now. And I was like, it sucks, but I understand they didn't want to be holding to that. Now, I also said, but if you're scrapping all that history, you better be doing something better. And guess what?
Right.
They didn't do.
They got it worse.
Yeah. So is all the EU great? Of course not. I mean, it's been going on forever. There's so many different authors and things like that. So there's some books that are. I mean, I love the X-Files, but let's be honest, there were some episodes that were real turds. You know, I mean, it's just going to happen when something goes for that long, and you have that many different cooks in the kitchen. But man, you look back on it now, and it's just like the new Jedi Order. God, it's just an amazing, amazing series. Such a great arc, and it's just like they use none of that for these movies. And it's just like, you guys really never cared. You just wanted the brand recognition. That's all you wanted. You just wanted the name. You had no interest in growing that legacy. And I'm trying not to do this every single live stream where I just start complaining about Disney Star Wars. But
did you play the Jedi Survivor video games?
Did not play
Survivor. The ones that came out?
I played Shadows of the Empire on N64. That was excellent because I love that book. Gosh, I guess the only Star Wars games really I've liked is just Knights of the Old Republic, I guess.
That was great.
Yeah, but Knights of the Old Republic were great.
Well, I hear the latest two are pretty good, but I haven't played either one of them.
I don't do a lot of the online gaming, honestly. Right? Have you read Bound to the Broken? You're going to
absolutely. I've read. I'm current. Man, yeah, you did. Yeah, you destroyed my TBR last year.
Tell them how awesome of War and Ruin is, right? I mean, geez.
Oh, it's fantastic. And you know, I mean, even though the thing is absolutely a doorstop of a book, the thing is just huge. It reads really fast, and that's what I've tried to, talk about the Bound of the Broken as best as possible, to not, fear this big page count, because you'd be surprised how fast you blow through that book. It's so accessible. It's a total page turner. I just love it. There's no POVs that I dislike. I mean, even like the least likable POV for me is still great. So big fan. Love it. It's going to be a classic.
Yeah, that was the other side. It's like if they're pronouncing all the names wrong, they probably read it. If they're spelling all the names wrong, they probably listened to it. So I think that it's a nice shared little circle there. Yeah. Hey, cool. Awesome. June. I'm doing book 1.
Cool.
Let's go. Let's go. Oh, let me see if I can catch up with these here. The 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕣 in audiobook, I can't even imagine, dude.
Oh my God.
There's so much Elvish.
It's like listening to the dictionary.
That's like listening to a D&D manual. I don't know. It's like, look, I love Tolkien. I think his world building is incredible, maybe the best ever. But 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕣 was tough when I read it. But I was much younger and probably had a lot less patience with it than I probably would now, because I've read all the Song of Ice and Fire, compendiums and all that stuff. So maybe I would like 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕣 a little better now. I mean, when I finished, Return of the King and the appendices, I was just kind of like, I just wanted more, and 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕣 wasn't it. No, R.S. Albator was so nice. He was such a nice guy. He was such a cool guy. And I felt so bad because his Dungeons and Dragons joke flew right over my head. And I don't know. It happens sometimes. I've not played very much D&D. My story with D&D was that we had finally gotten a big game together. It was like the one nerd thing I'd held out on my whole life. We got a big game together. It was finally going to do it. The Dungeon Master had gotten like this giant, 65-inch LED television that we were using as a board. And he was drawing the maps and everything. And then the virus was showing up, bait named hit. And And that
Man.
by the time it was like ready to go back, it just never really happened.
So what kind of character were you going to play?
See, that's the thing is I'm so bad at this. I was like, I'm not. They're like, oh, just describe, just do it like you would if you were telling a story. I was like, I can't tell a story. That's why I read some. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a barbarian. Just pretend I'm Conan.
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely.
Punch everything in the face real hard. I rolled a 1.
Yeah.
I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1. Yeah.
I love that. No, you'd be an awesome barbarian.
Yeah, it was fun when we got to play, but like I said, we tried to go back later, and it just actually we did try to do one over Zoom when it offered. It's just not. It's not the same. So yeah. Anyway, thank you, Grifton. You are awesome. See here, I am. You've been saying you're going to go eat that pie for a while, Evan. You don't tease it, baby. Go do it. Go do it. Go do it. Pie needs attention. See, I think Andy Serkis is amazing. He's an amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. But again, you guys that are audiobook veterans, you guys can probably do it. Here's Derry. I haven't seen. I finished Realm of the Eldlings, and now Derry's been like a ghost. I haven't seen her in a while. So.
Derry, you missed. He held up a Terry Pratchett book.
Is she a Pratchett head too?
Oh,
I'm starting this tomorrow.
Tied for first place with Robin Hobb in Dairyland.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were George R. R. Martin with me. Okay. All right. But I think she is too. I think she's awesome. There's room for all these things. Terry Pratchett was a cool looking guy, though. I'm just gonna say that. Looked like the kind of guy you could probably knock back about 8 to 10 glasses of brandy with. He definitely looks like.
Do you know? I saw Neil Gaiman do an interview that when Terry Pratchett died, he had like a work in progress going on his computer, and he had specifically asked Neil Gaiman to make sure that his hard drive was run over by a bulldozer after he died, so there'd be nobody would do anything with it. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah, Derry could probably say if that's correct or not.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a place for romantasy. I mean, you know what? A lot of those romance booktubers, way bigger channel than me or Brian. So, they're obviously doing something right. There's a huge, huge audience for it. And the thing was, like I told my wife, because I don't understand. And I'm probably being completely ignorant of what romantasy actually is. I just assume it's got a lot of smut in it. Here's my thing. My wife loves them Harlequin smut novels. She loves fantasy. I thought, smut fantasy, that sounds like it was made for you. So one day, a couple years back, they were having a Kindle sale. And it was the entire Throne of Glass for like $3. Sure, I'll get that for her. And I give it to her. She's like, I don't want that shit. I'm like, okay. She's like, this is cool. It's like class read this stuff. So the thing was, I always tell her, you know what? Way back when you went and saw all those superhero movies with me and Star Wars, all this stuff over the years, you went with me and seen these movies. You've read a bunch of Stephen King books that I know you probably didn't particularly want to read. She's reading Dreamcatcher right now. And I'm like, I don't know why that's the one you picked, but I would read Sarah J. Maas with you if you want to do it. And she's starting to say she thinks she has more interest in ACOTAR than Throne of Glass. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? Yes.
I read the first book of ACOTAR. My youngest niece kind of talked me into a buddy read with her. It was about a year or so ago. So I did read book 1 of ACOTAR. Yeah.
That good, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's just not for me. I mean, I can see where the appeal is. I can understand reading it, why it's selling millions and millions of copies. And it's just, I'm not the target market for it.
Derry has confirmed your story that all his work was destroyed. And you know what? It's like, I kind of wish they had done it. Michael Crichton had that done, because I'm tired of them putting out new Michael Crichton books that they found on a floppy disk somewhere. Give me a break, guys. Nobody does that. It's like someone like me that's read every Michael Crichton book, and you read micro. That's not Michael Crichton's writing style like at all. Get the fuck out of here. That shit pisses me off. And I know it's just her state, doing that. They want to just kind of ring every cent out of it.
They have no authors in the family, so yeah, throw the name on there.
Gosh. Wait, Terry was to run over Niels? Well,
I think it's too late.
I love Sandman. That's one of my favorite comics ever. So I don't know why I haven't read more Neil Gaiman. I read Stardust like a few years back. I enjoyed it.
I think you would dig American Gods.
That's what everybody tells me. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't read more of his stuff, because I mean, I love Sandman. It's so damn good. At the time I read Sandman, all I had really done was capes and crusaders and stuff like that. Just done superheroes,
Right.
really. So when I read, I had
Right.
no idea you could get stuff like this, and that kind of opened the door to Hellblazer, to Preacher, and
Yeah.
stuff that was like just completely off the edge that I had never read before. And I credit Sandman for that, for kind of opening that door for me. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
Sandman's
good stuff.
awesome. I mean, I think the closest that I got to it in traditional comic books was probably, like you said, John Constantine. That brings in some of those kinds of elements. But yeah.
Not you, no, no. It just felt like a cheap cash grab. Mm, mm. I haven't read Lucifer. I know that the TV show was loosely based off of that, right? Because I know that I watched like the first episode of Lucifer, and I was like, no, thank you. Yeah, I'm not the target demographic. And my wife's like, what do you mean? It's a superhero or a comic book show.
The TV show Lucifer?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Did you?
I watched every episode. It kind of
Really?
fell apart towards the last season. It got it jumped
It
jumped
just
the
looked like
jumped
more
the shark.
CW tween stuff that just wasn't going to be for me. That's what it looked like. So I might have been wrong.
I think probably the first few episodes might have been like that. It got better. The story got more compelling, and then it jumped the shark by the last season. For me.
Okay, yeah, everybody's jumping all over it now, so I can't. I don't know if you mean the show or the comic, but okay, cool. All right. Well, I mean, that's why I tell everybody about Hellblazer. It's like, go back and read just the Garth Ennis run of Hellblazer. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Especially all of the Harry Dresden fans. If you're into Dresden Files, man, you would fucking love Hellblazer. It's so good. So good.
That's why I know you're going to love Alex Verus when you get to it, too.
I am, Kellen. I am still planning. I got, that they're doing those re-releases. I got 5 of the 8. I'm just waiting, kind of waiting for the prices to drop because, they're not cheap. But the 5 I've got, they will do price drops occasionally. Am I the only one who makes like an Amazon wish list, just checks it every day to see if anything prices have dropped on anything? Yeah, it's a problem. But look around. It's not hard.
Me too.
It's not a problem. So you actually sent me the Alex Ross books, right?
Yes.
The Art of Alex Ross. Yeah. So you're a big comics guy too.
I am.
I think so. I mean, do you read anything modern, anything current?
No, I haven't picked up a comic book in 10 years, 12 years, maybe more. I don't know why. I think it's when I started to need reading glasses that the comics, I was just like getting so frustrated that I was like, forget it.
Well, the thing is like, I just feel like the quality just fell off a cliff, like around New 52, like after Green Lantern's run, after Blackest Night, after that,
I really did like that,
which was amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
Jeff Johns can do no wrong. He even made Aquaman amazing.
Yeah.
So after that, I feel like I kind of just fell off. I felt like the quality, I kept trying every time they do a relaunch or something, I try and I just couldn't get into it. And I just thought the quality just went bad. And that's why I said, I'm going to try some of this manga stuff that people talking about. And manga's amazing. I'm like, wow, they actually still care about like storytelling in manga. Great.
Right.
How about that? So
I haven't got onto the manga train yet, but I probably will.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yes, sir. I have read all of the Buffy and Angel comics, man, because that's my favorite show ever, man. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I could not get enough of it. It's got some things in it. There's just like, well, I'm glad they never tried that on TV, but you using that media. But I actually think that the Angel comic was great because if you the TV show kind of ends on a cliffhanger and it gives you like the final, what would have been the final season. It was awesome. It was so good. So sometimes it works out, other times it don't. Like I haven't really read very much of the Angel and Faith. But there's a lot of really good stuff out there. I just feel like the big hitters, Marvel and DC, it's not really that good right now. So there's a reason they're having mass layoffs all the time. So
right.
5,264 times have I said it would limit physical books. I mean, I am all in support of people that like to go just digital only. I respect it. Like Scott, Ball Booktuber, he's pretty much digital only. He'll buy like some things like where he wants to support an author like Christopher Rocchio or somebody. And I think that's awesome, that he would do that. But I wish I had it in me. I'm still just like too much of a collector. Like I've had someone ask me recently, like, Mike, you having like a midlife crisis? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, well, you posted like 2 pictures of your Nikes on Instagram. I was like, dude, I have all kinds of collecting habits. It's not just books. It's like, you should see my music collection. I was like, I love to collect things. And yes, I have like a couple dozen pairs of sneakers. I mean, I love sneakers too. I was like, I have lots of collecting habits. I just don't really share that on the channel. It's about books,
Right.
But with books, it's like in video games, most people I know are going digital with their video games now. I'm like, when they make it like $20 cheaper than buying the physical version, I'll do that. Until then,
Yeah.
it's the same price for the physical. I want the physical
I
version.
I will be surprised if they're even still making physical copies in the next 5 years.
I know that they're trying. I know there's been a couple releases, like I think what Baldur's Gate 3 didn't do a
Yeah.
physical. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I did
Yeah.
get on. I'll do that on Steam, but I won't do it for the consoles. Like,
Right. I think they're gonna get rid of it. I think they just want to go digital. Keep the price point the same for them. Get rid of all the physical costs.
Yeah, that's
Right.
just pure profit for them. Oh, pay a license fee. Ooh.
Yep, and they don't have to pay for product placement in all the retail stores, Best Buy, Target, all that stuff. Don't even think about those end caps anymore.
Here's the thing for me: is like if they ever have the ability where they can just turn the switch off and be like, "Sorry," and you're just screwed. It's just nothing that I ever want to buy.
And some game companies have done that recently, where you've purchased the game and all of a sudden you go to your catalog, it's gone.
Oh yeah, dude. I go to Nike's app every single day just because they have so many sales. You know, I think I got about 13 or 14 pairs of Nikes. I got about 3 or 4 Pumas, 4 or 5 Converses, a couple Adidas. I mean, yeah, I love sneakers. I mean, even most of them, I never have a time to wear them all. But you know, my wife's just like, I've never seen you wear that pair. I'm like, huh? Sometimes it's not about wearing it, it's about having them, right? That's just something that when I was younger, you know, it was just kind of grew up in poverty. So it was like buying nice sneakers was something I was never going to do. So it was just something like when I got to the point and I was making my own money, and I said, hey, I can get some sneakers. But I just got like my first pair of Jordans this year. You know, that was something. Then my first pair of Air Force Ones, because I was always just like, then it was the principle of the matter. You understand as a financials guy here, is the principle of the matter. I'm not paying more than $100 for a pair of shoes.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
depending.
I mean, like I'm assuming you're not wearing Air Jordans to work, right? And you're probably not. Oh, can you?
Oh, in my office, yeah, it's jeans and sneakers now. As long as the sneakers are clean. As long as the sneakers are clean. So yeah, now
Okay.
I got okay. Well, I told my wife, I was like, oh, I don't have a pair of blue ones. Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, now you have a real reason. I was going to say, because if you had to go, you know, business casual or strictly business, you know, for the finance world, then yeah, having a bunch of sneakers that you can't ever wear. But that's awesome.
Philip, I'll post you a picture if you want. I've got the nice like the cases for each pair of shoes. You like open and close the case and put it in there so they don't get dusty. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a full-on crazy collector with stuff like that. I mean, I really slowed down. I did kind of go digital with movies and stuff. Once you could start putting them on your Plex server. I don't know if you guys know what Plex is, but you just have it on your computer. You know, you can rip it or straight on your computer or buy it on demand, have it on your computer, and any device in the house can play it. Yeah, that was the way that happened. Oh, the kids want to watch a Blu-ray. Oh, but I guess they got to watch it downstairs now. Nope, not anymore. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did actually kind of go that way, but with games, it's still just like
it's the principle of it.
Yeah,
it's like you don't want them to be able to, you know, basically break into your house and take what you bought, and that's kind of what they're doing.
And I mean, I have the same feeling about books. I'm like, dude, I feel like with books, you should get the digital copy for free. You know, like they used to do with DVDs, you know, or the Blu-rays. You get the DVD copy for free.
Yeah, but if you buy the physical book.
The business side of me is like, if people are willing to pay that much for your product, you charge that. But I'm just like, sometimes I'll see the digital version costs more than the physical book. I'm like, why? Because people are paying it. And I've seen the cost of Audible, and everybody's like, that's stupid. You don't do that with Audible. You do like Audible Unlimited or something. I was like, I don't know. I just know that like when I'm posting links in my video and I see the Audible version, it's like $68. I'm like, people are paying this for audiobooks? Wow.
I don't think so. I think they're using it to sell their subscription service. So by comparison, you know, the monthly rate looks pretty good.
I guess. I don't know. Who's Darko? The only Darko I know is 𝕤𝕠𝕞𝕖𝕟𝕕.
That's Kindles and Kicks.
Oh, okay.
Kindles and Kicks in the chat.
Okay, I didn't know the real name. Okay,
hey. He's got a massive sneaker collection.
Okay,
dude's the real deal. I mean, he named his channel after him.
Yeah, no, I see that now. Okay, all right. Hey, hit me up. Let's talk. maybe we can do a trade. No, that's the thing. Is like the one thing I don't do with the sneakers is I have the SNKRS app, sneakers app, which is like the really expensive Nike drops, and I just drool over that. I'm never gonna buy those super special. There's only 100 of them in the world prices for them. I wish I could, but you know, that's one of those where I feel like God, I would never wear it because I'd be afraid of hurting it. You know, like we saw like the classic car show that was going on. My kids, we went to a restaurant and they had a class. We walked next door and they're all like, "Oh man, I'd like this car." They're like, "What would you do if you had that car?" I was like, "Not drive it." Like
Right.
diaper, you know, I probably would never drive it.
Keep it clean in the garage and do nothing with it. Yeah.
I just realized I did a 𝕤𝕗𝕟𝕚𝕟𝕟 drop with a Wolves fan on the call. What's going on, man? You're a Wolves guy. Your Wolves are good finally. How do you feel about this, Brian?
Oh, it's exciting time to be a Timberwolf fan. Yeah, we got the Denver Nuggets coming up, I think, on Friday.
I mean, that's
But
no
yeah, that
pushover.
sweep,
I mean,
that sweep against Phoenix was awesome. Just exciting to watch.
I feel like it feels like the era of Durant, LeBron, and Steph has officially ended this playoff cycle.
Yeah,
And I'm here for
yeah.
it. I'm not a hater. I mean, I'm still
It's just it's time. It's
get out
time.
of the LeBron stuff because I'm a
But-
Jordan guy. But no,
but-
I feel like it's time for that new blood. What's the player on the Minnesota Timberwolves that did the DX cross chops the other night?
Anthony Edwards.
That's my new favorite player right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. No, I mean for
Yeah.
years, I mean pretty much my whole life. Like the Timberwolves were good like one time, I think, when they had
Once.
Stephon Marbury
Garnett.
and Kevin Garnett. Yeah, that
Yep.
was like the only time. The Charles Freed
Yeah.
that was like the only team that was like good. And then they just maybe they
They
get it as
won-
an 8 seed or something. But yeah.
Yeah, they won one series, and that was it. They've been like the worst professional franchise we've ever had in this state. I mean, the Twins have won the World Series a couple of times, but not
we
since
don't talk about that. I was a Braves fan back
91.
then. We don't talk about that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But, the Vikings have famously lost 4 Super Bowls. The Wild have never won the championship. But, it's weird. But
Anderson.
what's that?
Gary
Yeah.
Anderson.
Oh, yeah. You're trying to stab my heart.
All right, I'm not trying to take over. I just the Wolves are good, and I didn't even think about that because me and Brian always talk about football. And think about that you got a really you got a team that could,
and I'm kind
it.
of a fair weather fan, but the Wolves have done that to me. When we first got the franchise, I was so excited about it, but then I think they went and drafted like Pooh Richardson the first year. And then I think they drafted Luke Longley, in the second year. I mean, it was just like one disaster after the next. And yeah, I mean, I'm the first to admit I probably watched just a handful of games this year, but now I'm glued to the TV for the playoffs for sure.
I did. I finished the Expanse. Brian, have you ever read an Expanse book?
I've not. I've watched all the series, and I'm just so bummed out that they stopped the series when they did because it feels weird. Like I don't really want to go pick up books 1 through 5 and read them, and I don't.
The same way. And when I read it, I was like, I can understand why, because between book 6 and 7, there's like a massive time jump. Like massive.
Got it. Well, let me ask you: could I start the Expanse where the show left off, or is there just stuff that is missing?
Some characters might seem like they're making weird choices to you because, like, Amos on the show is way better than the book. I think. Like, Amos is great in the book, but I think Amos on the show is like amazing.
He's fantastic.
He's so good.
Man!
And I feel like that's kind of a controversial thing because there's a lot of people on my Discord that were like, "Nah, Amos in the book's way better." I think Holden's probably a little better in the books, but I don't know. I think you would just kind of just be like, I don't feel like this is a decision or something this character would say just because you've only seen the TV version.
Right.
I don't know. Books. I'm not with Brent that I think it was butt cheeks, but it was probably my least favorite. But again, if that was my least favorite book in that series, it's an all-time series. So I think that all 9 books are good to me. I think that series was so damn consistent, and I couldn't believe it because sometimes you would feel like they're not really like doing a lot right now, but good Lord, I love this crew on the Rosie. They're such an amazing crew. And it just, the end will have you in tears, man. It's really good. It's really good.
Do it's interesting because all of my favorite booktubers have mentioned, this book will, like Philip even did the books that make me cry or this will have you in tears. I've never once cried while reading a book.
Never?
Ever.
So tell me you haven't read Where the Red Fern Grows without telling me you haven't read Where the Red Fern Grows.
That's right. I have never read Where the Red Fern Grows.
My God.
It's weird. I don't know. I must have a heart of stone. I have no idea.
Ryan, 6th grade was a long time ago for me. A long time ago. Yeah. And I still can't even talk about Where the Red Fern Grows without getting a little glassy-eyed. It's
wow. I don't know. It's something with me. It's weird. I don't get it. I think my sister would say I'm emotionally repressed when it comes to that. I don't know. She knows me pretty well.
Where are you? I'm trying to get, I'm getting you and John confused. John's finished. Nope. Have you finished Realm of
No,
the Elders, or John's finished Realm of the Elders?
I have finished, and it is currently sitting at the top of my fantasy
That's what it
series
was. Okay.
list. And John has yet to start.
That's
Or
right. We were
maybe he's
talking
read
about
the
it, me,
first
you,
couple of them.
him, and Philip were talking about the other night. So I was getting
Yeah.
it mixed up. So here we go. If you reach Realm of the Elders, you can reach Fool's Errand without crying. You're a psychopath.
Right? That's what I'm
Right,
saying.
right.
I mean,
I was about to say
it's-
I didn't get all weepy at the end like everybody predicted, but I did with Fool's Errand. Holy shit, man. That's not even fair.
I don't know. I mean, I felt bad when things happened, but I don't know. You're right. See, Derry says I'm a psychopath. Well, she knows me pretty well. Let me just watch it.
Philip,
What?
don't even suggest it for Illuminati. I'm not reading that book again. Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm still not over it. 30-something years later.
Now, I
can't
will
believe they
say,
let us read that in 6th grade. It's like they were trying to crush us. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think they succeeded. You are not in 6th grade, and you still remember it, so it's imprinted on you. Yeah, I've read the Greenbone Saga.
Even the teacher was crying when we were reading. We were reading this book out loud in class. It was like the point where like no one can read. Don't call on me. I'm not reading. We were all just blubbering as a class. It was just like, dude, I feel like we all need to go to like therapy after this. So yeah. It was the year before that we read Watership Down. So it was like they were trying to corrupt us when we were children, making sure like, hey, the real world sucks, guys. Get used to it.
Right.
So, yeah, we bridged to Terabithia at my school. We didn't do that one.
Now, I will say I've had plenty of books make me very sad, including what Derry mentioned. I've had plenty of books that made me very depressed, but I don't know. I mean, not like tears flowing. Weird.
Well, see, whereas Mike's made a whole video about books that made me cry. I've actually it a little bit. Here we go. Speaking of John. Are you made of stone, Brian? Mike, I'm still not right to this day from Red Fern. Yeah, it's...
I don't know. I think something must have happened to me at some point that I don't know. It's weird.
It was the era, Derry. I think so with Gen X, because I always go back to the thing that Jim Henson said where he liked to make his movies a little scary because he said it's good for kids to be scared. It makes them realize that the whole world isn't going to be safe for them. You know, it's a good thing for kids to be a little scared. And that's always just stuck in my mind because I think about like back when I watched like Secret of NIMH as a kid and I'm like, how am I okay? You know, some of these movies that my wife still like refuses to let her kids, like I was like, hey, we should let them watch Watership Down. She's like, I'm like, why not? You know, I watched it when I was a kid. I'm okay. You know, but I don't know. She also didn't want my oldest to watch Jurassic Park till he was 15. So that's just a mom thing, you know? So.
I mean, somebody just mentioned about crying on movies. I have teared up in movies. I couldn't point to which one, so I'm not completely, heartless and made of stone.
Bro, but I'm a little bitch with a skin knee with a lot of movies, especially when it comes to like dad stuff. Man, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. Anything always, it's just something that changes. I think when you have kids with some people, especially me, because I remember I watched Field of Dreams, and everyone's like, "Oh, that movie made you cry." I didn't. Watched it after I had kids and I was a mess, So I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, see, Flower Shower didn't get me. It was very touching, but it didn't get me. It did not like the full like water flow. But yeah.
But like I think for me, like when I run into stuff into a book where I think most people would have that kind of tear up moment or a compelling character dies or God forbid an animal companion dies or something in that nature, I get more cheating. Like
that's cheating.
Yeah.
If you kill a dog, it's not fair. It's cheating.
Right. I get more kind of pissed at the book than I do sad, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I mean, I get more like angry, like, what do they do that for?
I'm real big about, just saying goodbye to a group of characters that you really love. Like I think about Unifying Force. I've been reading Star Wars books forever. And that was really the end of the OG Star Wars group, Han, Luke, Leia, Lando, all those, it's kind of like the end of their arc because it was really the passing the torch time where they were still going to be around, but it was really going to be about this younger generation now. And yeah, felt like a goodbye to me, and that was tough for me. But like Lord of the Rings, for me, Journey's End is always kind of emotional, I think. But
yeah, it is. I mean, especially when you realize that the series is over and that's it, you're getting no more. And I'm not a real big rereader of things. So yeah, that's kind of the finale.
Yeah, I think Kendall's. There's a movie. It was it called Marley and Me about the dog? And like I wouldn't even watch the movie. I was like, they're like, why not? I was like, because I know what happens at the end. I have no interest in this.
Hmm.
So
Right?
yeah, it's cheating, but it works. It works. It's cheating. I mean, I could think of. I don't even want to name the author's name, but he did it in a book not that long ago that I read. This is an author I love, and I was like, that's cheating, sir. As I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Watch. Now that I've said this publicly online on the internet where nothing ever dies, the next 5 books I read will be a mess the entire time. So, yeah.
Okay, Loco. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right up
Right?
there with me with right before the Ride of the Rohirrim. It's like powerful cry. It's just because the moment's so powerful. Major League is such an amazing movie. Such an amazing movie. My favorite baseball movie. It's not even close.
He was so good in that. I mean, that was just,
That whole group.
he was at the height of his powers, I think, in that, man. He was great.
He was drinking the tiger blood. No one even knew it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. See, if I know the dog's going to die, then.
Right.
Yeah, I make the jokes. Girl I was dating at the time, we were going to go see Titanic, and she was like, "Come on, we're going to be late." And I was like, "Don't worry, I know the ship sinks." I mean,
Right.
it's kind of how I am about some of these dog movies. Like, why? I know the dog's going to die. I'm not going to watch it. No, I have no interest in that. So,
but it's the journey of watching them. No, it's terrible.
and they'll even do the Stephen King thing, and they'll let me know that this character is going to die, and then I'll be like, "Wow, why would you tell me that this early?" And then I'll read another 500 pages and get really attached and be like, "Well, maybe he was joking." See, that was me with Lonesome Dove. I watched the miniseries first, so I knew the character's fates. But while I was reading it, I'm like, maybe they changed it for the TV show.
Right. That wishful thinking.
Yeah. And it didn't. Sometimes I always say I like to read the book before I see the movie. Most of the time, I like to do it that way. I'm glad I did both Shogun and Lonesome Dove the way that I did because it didn't change anything for me for how powerful it was. And then watching the new Shogun series made it even better because I'd done both, so it's
let me ask you about Shogun, and if anybody's watching concerned about spoilers, don't worry. I didn't catch this part in the book, but was there anything in the book where he's like dreaming of being an old man?
No, actually me and Loco talked about that. We actually didn't like that because we felt like it kind of spoiled a character.
I thought, yeah, okay. So it wasn't just me because I was like, because I just read the book when you read the book, and I was like, I think I would have remembered that. My mind is a sieve, but
you're very much in limbo about the character's fate, really. And I felt like opening the episode that way. I was like, they just kind of like took away all the tension from the thing there at the end with him and Toranaga. I was like, why did you do that? So I thought that was the only real poor decision I felt like they made.
But I don't know. Whoop, still there? Uh-oh. Is that me or you? Shit. Am I still on or are you still gone? I don't know.
Hello.
Mike's back.
For some reason, it's saying my Wi-Fi is unstable, but I'm hardwired in.
Weird, and I'm the one that's got like the crazy lightning and thunderstorm going on outside. I thought maybe I was like, oh my god, yep, it's my show now.
All right, cool. Hey, if that happens again, I guess Brian gets to take over. It's not
oh my god.
Before. I wonder if it's a StreamYard thing. I don't know because I'm hardwired. I'm on my desktop. I don't know why it would say my Wi-Fi is struggling. Anyhow, sorry guys.
Excellent. No, you're back. You're good.
Did Brian hold it down while I was gone, you guys? I mean,
yeah, I smiled quite a bit at the camera. I told them I think it's Mike, but I don't know.
I mean,
yeah.
Someone asked earlier, is what was the name of your club that you used to run?
Okay, so it was originally called The Lounge, and that was from 1995 to 2013. And then I bought it as an existing bar because a friend of mine owned it, and I was either going to build my own bar or try to buy somebody else out, and I ended up buying him out. So that was in 2005. So from 2005 to 2013, I kept it as The Lounge. And then in 2013, I rebranded it to Rouge at the Lounge. So I kept the lounge still in the name, but I wanted to get a little bit new branding, new marketing. Prince was such a regular at the club, and we actually had a VIP booth specifically for him called Prince's Booth. So I didn't really want to mess up the name of the place too much because it was really.
Was he Prince at this time, or was he
both?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I mean, mostly the artist, but I mean, it was very, very cool.
Yeah, no
as a business, and just to have the kinds of very cool, people that came through.
So this was a upscale club, huh? That's like
very.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that a casualty of the virus?
Yeah. I mean, so what had happened was, we had an incident a couple of weeks before the virus that shall not be named. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep open or not. And then I decided, yes, I'm going to stay open. And 2 weeks later, the pandemic hits. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Whether I want to keep the business open or not. And I get an email from the landlord saying, hey, I know the state says you cannot be open, but you still have to pay rent one way or the other, as long as you're, whether or not you're open or not, you have to pay us rent. And I was thinking to myself, we don't know how long this thing's going to go. This could be a year. So I politely said, hey, I'm done. That's it. See you later.
Had a lot of places here that were like that, they were just like, and then when they told them they could open back up, they told them they could only have 25%. Like, that's not even enough to pay my utilities.
Well, right. I mean, but if you think about a nightclub, it is the opposite of social distancing. Keeping 6 feet apart is the absolute antithesis of the bar business. So, yeah, it would have cost me more in, payroll and insurance and everything. It just wasn't worth it.
So do you miss it?
But
at times, you feel like, yeah.
I miss the team that I had. I mean, I hired hundreds of people over the years, and I miss them all tremendously, pretty much without exception. And I miss my friends that would, it was nice because I didn't have to go find my friends. They would come to me. I missed the social life aspect of it, which is sadly, if you're a young man watching this or a young lady watching this, don't leave the bar business single, because it's a lot easier if you're looking for a relationship to find one while you still have a club. So I miss the social aspects of it. I do not miss the problems that go along with the bar business, and they're significant. Yeah. And especially in a town like Minneapolis, which, it's a decent sized city, but it's not really a tourist destination. So you've really only got a couple of nights a week to make your money, like Fridays and Saturdays, right? It's not like Vegas where planes are landing every single day with people just ready to go spend all their money. So you got a couple of days a week. And in Minnesota, you could be planning an event for 2 months and you get 3 feet of snow that day and forget about it. So lots of stress goes along with that.
Yeah, it sounds stressful. And I mean, I don't know. I'm too much of a, 7 to 5 type of worker too. So I can't even imagine those hours. But
they're crazy.
How often was Prince? Did you ever like chat you up? Did he make you pancakes?
Oh, yeah.
Did you go play basketball with you like with Dave Chappelle or?
Actually, it's funny. Chappelle and me and this girl named Annie and this other guy went to, my bar was like about a block from Target Center where the Timberwolves play. And Chappelle had come to my bar, and then he somehow was going to go to Paisley Park where Prince was having an after party, but he stopped at Target Center first to shoot hoops at like 2 a.m. And so me and my friend Annie and one of her friends went over to Target Center with Chappelle, and he's shooting, just playing basketball. Prince was not at that point, but Prince came in a lot, and we talked quite often.
No, I'm sad that we found out the bar that this story came from. This is where Charlie Murphy met his boys, huh? This is it.
Yeah, he was he's just a super cool dude. I mean, our last interaction was not awesome, but that's just sometimes what happens with people, and is what it is.
Dang. Well, I mean, it sucks that a lot of people had their lives uprooted like that. But hey, the good side is you get to do this now. You get to be hanging out with all of us, like unsociable people.
Yeah, right. I love this. I mean, I said this the other night. BookTube saved me. I legitimately was lost because for the first like 3 weeks when the pandemic hit, I was so relieved because I really did need a mental break. I was so burned out.
Yeah,
You run a bar for 15 years and take very few, if any, time off vacations, you're gonna get really burned out. So I loved the first few weeks. But after that, I just didn't know what to do. And
right,
so I started reading again. And then I started like trying to look up what other people thought of these books that I had just read. And that's how I ran into your channels. I don't remember which book it was, but I had just Googled, a review because I had an opinion on some book and I wanted to see if anybody else shared it. Didn't know BookTube even existed. Run into Mike's book reviews, absolutely changed the direction of my life. So I will be eternally grateful to you, my friend, even though it's not something you consciously set out to do, but you've certainly changed the trajectory of my life. And, lots of booktubers got started from watching your videos. And I know that wasn't your intention, but, good things happen.
well, I appreciate that. I think it definitely changed mine as well because I mean, for years I read these books and like knew hardly anyone that ever read anything that I read, So finding out there was actually other people out there reading these books, it was happy accident. Like I always tell people, it's like I had no idea BookTube was a thing, and I upload those videos just completely off chance. Just really as just a place to store them because I was afraid my computer was going to crash. And I wouldn't be
Right.
able to go back to those videos. So I said, well, I'll just upload to my podcast YouTube channel. And I was like, wow, I never have like a few thousand views on my channel. What's going on? Yeah. And then realized that this was a thing. So yeah, I think back to now. I'm like, man, I don't know what I did with my spare time before this. But I mean,
Right.
I was podcasting stuff at podcasts. It was like once a week in my format. I don't make a bunch of notes. I
Right.
just turn the microphone on and go.
Sure.
So it's been something.
But even with podcasting, you don't have the editing time that you put into, especially when you do some of your awesome introductions and your book reviews where you really take the time and work with the art and do all of that stuff. Yeah, that's fantastic. But that's what I try to tell people on my channel is just the power of one seemingly small decision. One day Mike decided to start uploading some videos. I think if you go back and watch your first couple videos, I don't know if you would cringe or not, but I know a lot of people say their early ones cringe.
The messed up
Um,
thing is I'll say that, but dude, I'll watch a video from like 6 months ago and be like, oh
and you
God,
cringe. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just
I
like the
mean,
power,
that
it's the
never
power
goes
of one
away.
decision. Yeah.
That
It's just the
that never
power of a
goes
decision that you made that has dominoed and it's awesome. And that's really, what I like to talk about because I think it's super important.
You're super sweet, Spence. Thanks for dropping in, homie. Good to see you. Oh man. So Spence, you got to remind me. Are you one of the Cradle people? Dropping the compliment. Remember if you had a thing with Cradle. I couldn't remember if that's what the one big disagreement besides Name of the Wind was. But I disagree with everyone on Name of the Wind. That doesn't bother me like at all. But I was trying to remember if you were a Cradle guy or not because Brian here has a really great video about Cradle. I think you guys should all check it out. Check it out. So you were talking before we started about like your biggest, your most popular video. Which one was that again?
Yeah.
Just
That's the LitRPG starter guide.
what's your second most popular video?
Second most popular video, I think, is the headline. The title is Meh, and it's the 10 most disappointing books I read in 2023.
That's just it, just meh.
Meh.
See, I have this thing where I'll try to go through and rename a bunch of my older episodes that didn't do very well and see if that'll like pick them up.
Yeah.
It rarely ever works. But I'll admit I got shook because my One Piece content didn't do shit, and Phillips is like getting like 100,000 views. I'm like, what the?
It's the title. It's the title.
So I thought I'd name mine similarly, and nope, didn't change anything. But
it's when you throw in English professor in front of manga, now you're piquing that curiosity factor because all the One Piece huge fans want to know what an accredited doctor in English professor thinks about it. I
Well,
thought
it
about it. I
helps
told
that Philip probably, I'm like, hey, I like that part where he punches the guy in the face, and Philip's going to talk about like the philosophical nature of it, and
right what he
what
really
should be
meant
said.
behind that punch. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So it helps that he, is very an eloquent speaker, and he has, that nice chiseled jaw, and
Right. I
and he
mean, if I
claims he's 50 in his 50s, and stuff,
he's
and everybody knows
30.
he's lying, but
I mean, I suppose I could read One Piece and come up with a title that nightclub owner reacts to One Piece and see what happens there.
I put like from a first time reader, it's like, but now that ain't
Yeah.
gonna do anything. How far do I get into a book before deciding to DNF? I don't DNF very much. I really don't. It's just one of those where I feel like if I've gotten about halfway through a book and I realize this probably ain't it, it's rare, but it does happen. I think the most recent one that happened with me was Three Body Problem. That's not for me. And Cradle, book 2, about 3/4 through it. No. And people tell me like, hey, it doesn't really change a lot. I mean, everybody would say with Cradle, well, it really gets good at book 3, but they're like, if the things you're talking about not liking, that's pretty much the series. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and exit now. So I'll do it like that. But it has to be. I mean, I finished Brent Weeks' books, man. There's it takes a lot for me to really DNF something. So
I mean, I've DNF series, but not so much books. Like Demon Cycle, I DNF'd. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's what I said. Cradle gets awesome at book 13.
the second half of book 13.
Yeah, the second half of book 13. It's fantastic.
Oh man, yeah. So it's yeah, maybe we should just get some leather patches. That'll help. Yeah.
Right?
Sure. I mean, I remember why I didn't think booktube was a thing is I remember because I started trying to look at YouTube for things outside of just like movie trailers and angry video game nerd videos.
Right. God, he's so good. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, let me see if anybody's ever talked about It by Stephen King before. And this was before the movie came out. And it was like nothing. There was like nothing on YouTube about it at the time. So I was like, oh, I guess it's not really like a thing. Nobody really cares. No one cares what I'm reading. So I was like, I'll just write up some things on Goodreads, and then to think about at the time, I was like, I used to read Petrick's reviews. I never would have thought that Petrick and I would actually talk a lot like we do now. It's really weird how that works. But yeah, I never knew there was like a thing for it. So when I actually found it, it was like a gold mine.
Patrick blows me away. He has a better command of the English language than I do. It's not his first language.
Yeah. Hey, I bet you should be reading Dresden Files. Wait till you get the changes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's like such a meme at this point that like I'll say it with like any books. I can't wait to read Realm of the Eldlings. Oh, just wait till you get the changes.
Yep.
Most people don't get it. I try to use some of those things on like my wife. She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, nah, kind of had to be there.
You're right. The booktube inside humor.
That's a good day right there, man. I mean, I bet you're emotionally spent. You watch those 2 movies.
Oh wow,
man, that's something.
The Day of King.
So, what's your next Stephen King read?
Oh man, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, so like I said, I'm not as opposed to horror as Philip is, but it's really not my go-to. So I'm not really sure where to begin. Because you know what? I think the Kennedy book. That's what I'll do.
I think that's probably the one that Philip would enjoy the most, but I would feel really bad if we're saying, hey, this Quilluminati thing, it's not very easy to say, just like
it's
casual.
Very difficult. But see, that's why it's good. It's because it's
I was like, we're all saying that let's get these 400 pages or less kind of books. I'm gonna be like, hey, here's a 1200 page hardcover by Stephen King that'll emotionally drain you. So yeah.
I think that would probably be the one. I just I don't know. I mean, somebody in the comments just said Salem's Lot. So I think that I would probably like that because it's got the Dark Tower tie-in. And,
right.
Dark Tower is my 4th or 5th favorite series ever. If I was ever going to reread a full series, which I just feel like my TBR is just way too big to do that. But if I was ever going to reread a series, it would probably be the Dark Tower because I think the series itself lends it for that, or Book of the New Sun, one of those two.
Yeah, I was doing that until
To book 6.
I got the books. Yeah, it happens, But yeah,
It did go off. It did go off the rails, but I mean, there you go.
that's what I like to hear, Philip. It's long, but man, it's so good. It's so good. And I mean, if you like the Kennedy assassination stuff, you'll love it even more. But you don't have
Right.
to. You don't have to at all. Like there's people I've talked to about it, like aren't even in America, don't even barely know anything about John F. Kennedy except he got shot.
Right.
That love the book. So yeah, I think that you'll. I talked to who was I talking to about this recently? I was on their channel, I forget, but I'd said this is going to sound so snobbish, and I want people to understand. I am not trying to sound like that. This is really just an age and time thing. You get older, you decide I don't want to stand in lines anymore. That's just not my thing. I'd rather stay at home on my sofa than go stand in line at the football game for an hour to use the bathroom. I mean, that's just kind of when you get to that age, you'd rather just stay home. So when it comes to conventions, I'm like, if they want to credential me and let me be like a speaker or a panelist or something, sure, I'll consider it. But just to go as just like just a general admission, no, I'm past that point in life, man. I did E3 because I worked in video games. I did E3 for years, and I'm like, I never want to do that again. I think the Comic-Con right around the time when it started getting really, really huge, and it's just like, no, I don't like the idea of sitting in line for 3 days and you might get in.
Or you could do it the way that I'm planning to do it, and that's go and just hang out at the bar with John. So,
I'm supposed to be going to. I think I'm going to Dallas this fall because Ryan Cahill is going to be here, and Christopher Rocchio is saying he's probably going to make the trip, and I'd love to meet those two. So I'll probably. My wife and I are talking about going up there, like just making like a couple of days out of it, and every time I'm in Dallas, I got to check out all the JFK stuff. So that make a little trip out of it should be fun.
I think I went to the grassy knoll once when I was in Dallas.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole, and I walked this little route that they say that Lee Harvey Oswald did, and I'm like, so how much, dude? I'm like running and I can't make. Okay, all right, sure,
right,
sure. But hey, I don't want to get I don't want to get like the laser pointer on my head or something.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. The conventions, like, would I like to? Sure, but I don't know. Like I said, it's. Because Dragon Con, I applied for credentials and they turned me down. But it was just like, yeah, I get it. They've got enough people and stuff. They don't need people like me. I'm not anybody special. Oh, you talk about books on YouTube. Good for you, buddy. We're gonna save those spots for authors. I get that, but
I don't.
That's what would take me to actually make the trip, I think.
Yeah. Well, I can see that happening in the future. I think what's happening is that a lot of people are starting to realize that booktubers actually drive sales. I mean, look what Daniel Green did with 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕟 when they ran out of print.
Well, I mean, I did that first, but cool.
Well, for sure. No, I mean, I have to say, no offense to anybody who's made 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕟 content and has done well with it. God bless you. It's a great series. I'm starting Ashes of Man tomorrow. But
I just want more people to read it.
Mike really did it first. And it's just like, I wish someone would come on and at least just throw a little credit where credit's due and say, you know what, this is.
Well, I mean, Christopher gave you a dedication. That was pretty
well,
cool.
Not Christopher, because Christopher's been super transparent about
again, in the end, I'm not one of those who's like, oh, I want it first, I want credit away. It's one thing I want more people to discover it. And I knew if more people just try it, they'd love it.
Yeah.
It's just I'm getting people like, hey, have you heard of this 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕟 series Daniel Green was talking about? I'm like, yeah, right. I fucking heard of it.
Right. I mean, and I feel the same way a little bit about Dungeon Crawler Carl and some of the LitRPG stuff that's, becoming more larger booktuber mainstream stuff going, Jesus, I've been, trying to preach this for a while, but yeah.
I wish I could.
Wait a minute. Oh my God. Wait a minute. The alert just went off. The alarm just went off. His Beowulf, alarm just went off. It's like the bat signal, except for he keeps it, like an old school pager, just, right into his belt. That any mention of Beowulf, the alarm immediately goes off.
Yeah, that's like me when people say that Red Rising isn't that good, and I'm like,
yeah.
To the Batmobile, yeah.
Fighting words, right?
Nathan, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. That's why I try to tell people. They're like, hey, do you think I would like them? I'm like, well, do you like Star Wars? Like, well, yes, the original movies. Like, so you don't like what Disney didn't know? Like, yeah, I think you'll like them. Really, all you have to do is see the original trilogy, and you can dive right in. Start with the Thrawn trilogy, and it's just so much fun. And it's just, again, there's no universe I spent more time in, because you look at the sheer volume of books I've read in the Star Wars
Right.
universe, and there's nothing. I mean, I've reread Lord of the Rings 7 times, and it doesn't compare. So the amount of time that I've spent in that universe is, I mean, you gotta understand that Star Wars was my religion up until about like 2015. Man, that was like everything to me. So it's been really tough, watching that person that you've loved your whole life just get like brutalized and murdered right in front of you. But
Did you ever read any of the Star Trek novels?
I haven't. Everybody told me I should read the Deep Space Nine ones, because I love the Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of them that are out of camera shot, but I have all these paperbacks that I bought like in the 90s that are the Next Generation crew and the Deep Space Nine crew. Really good. I know Jonathan talks about it on his channel quite a bit, but yeah.
Well, Loco,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you your flowers too, brother, because I probably never would have even gotten Shogun on my list if not for you. So you were the first one I know on the Discord that was reading it and saying really great things about it. And it was one of those I kind of had. I always say it was that and Lonesome Dove were kind of on my bucket list. It was something I always kind of looked at and said, I just don't know if I would be interested in it. Gosh, it's just so intimidating looking. But you were the first one that really made me think it would be something I would like. So I give you credit there. So it's a sharing community. That's the best thing about it is I talk about, I probably would have never read some of these books if not for, because you started sharing, you get so many recommendations and they all sound amazing.
Right.
And then
Right.
there's like the group thing where everyone will start reading a series at the same time, and you don't want to be left out. That
The FOMO. Yeah.
FOMO's the worst. So and I know that a lot of people, I got them with that with Bound the Broken. They got a lot of FOMO with that. I was like, dude, just what? Y'all always tell me, hey, just read what you want to read. Just pick it up and read it. Pick it up if you want to, but it's hard when you run a channel, you at least for me, because I have to have some kind of schedule, or else I'll just pick up everything that gets sent my way and just start reading it, so it's
no doubt.
It's a struggle, but I feel like there's a good balance there. All right, Gary's got a question. What's a book series or who's an author you think deserves but doesn't get booktube attention? Well, I mean, I wish my Stephen King content did that. It's just, I feel like booktube is really fantasy and romantasy heavy. It really, really is. And anything that kind of slips out of that comfort zone, it just doesn't seem like there's a huge audience for it. 'Cause I mean, like, you'll go look at some of these people who do like all these crime thrillers and stuff like that, and their channels are very, very small. I mean, loyal, but small.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you kind of step out of that comfort zone. So for me, like my Michael Crichton and Stephen King stuff and Rice, it doesn't touch anything that, talking about, my favorite uniforms and freaking Wheel of Time, my favorite hairstyles and Wheel of Time, favorite dresses, it's tough. So it sounds weird to say an author as big as Stephen King, that would say that, but that in Red Rising has gotten more popular. I mean, I think back when I made my wife read Red Rising and where it was for Lightbringer, where he's actually having like conventions and stuff now. So that series has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm happy for that. But I don't know, in these circles, it seems like, kind of all the big ones have really been covered on my end. What about you?
I have an absolute answer for this. Immediately came to the top of my head. Richard Cadry's Sandman Slim series, urban fantasy. It is so good. I think you even have the book, Mike. I think somebody sent it to you a while back. I don't know why it doesn't get any booktube attention. It's a completed series. There's either 10 or 12 books.
Yeah, Dresden Files fans recommend it a lot.
It's so good. Richard Cadry is brilliant. And it's interesting, too, because when I first found booktube, I did a search on YouTube for Sandman Slim reviews. There's only like one. Guess who it is? Slowly Read. And I was like, yeah. And he was just gushing about it. And I was like, I like this dude. This was actually, I think, even before I found almost everybody besides you. There's slowly did a review of Sandman Slim. And I was like, yeah, this guy's got it for sure.
No, Heidi, you're right. There are those philosophy channels and things like Jared Henderson. He blows my views away. Yeah, so there, I take it back. There is a for higher thinking people. There are channels like that for sure. I think.
Definitely.
I mean, Jared makes channels of videos about how to journal, and they get 100,000 views. That's amazing.
Right?
So there's obviously a little bit of something for everyone on this platform. That's what's great about it. It really is. But that's why I laugh when someone's like, "Oh, you only do something like this for clicks." I'm like, dude, do you really think I would have picked sci-fi and fantasy books if I was doing this for clicks? No, I'd have made the Star Wars rating videos. That seems to get a lot of attention.
Right. The top 10 things I hate most about the new Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to end up liking this series a lot, Brent. I think so, and I'm going to do my part to try it. I didn't actually review book 1, but I feel like I keep going with the series, and I really love it. I'll do something special for that series, and I'll have to record it, and not do it live. But I'd love to talk to Larry, and because it's a controversial figure, and he doesn't have a buffer, But I think that Jim Butcher's the one who recommended his Monster Hunter series to me. And then everyone else was Christopher, especially, was really talking about this Saga of Forgotten Warriors, saying that like it had no business being as good as it is because the guy had never written fantasy before, and it's like, wow, okay. So, but yeah, the first book was excellent.
I just finished book 4 yesterday.
Oh wow, okay.
Tower of Silence. They keep getting better. Wow. So yeah, I mean that's a great series. When someone's talking about something that's not getting as much attention as it should, that's another really, really good one to talk about.
Heidi, Simon R. Green's got a ton of books. I mean, that guy is just a machine. He just pumps them out, man. I think I've got about 14 or 15 of his books just that people have sent me. He's amazing, man. He just keeps on rolling. She sent me Deathstalker. That's why she's saying that.
Very cool.
I remember. The thing was, like y'all pointed out the other day, like the I Am the Serial Killer, somebody had sent that to me. I didn't even remember because it's just like I get a lot of stuff sent to me, and sometimes I can't remember everything. I try. Now I'm thinking, I get to a lot of these things. Like, look at The Last War, Mike Shackle, that I loved. That sat on my shelf for 3 years before I got to it. Yeah. So it's just, when you've got a kids and a real job, I wish I could just sit here and do like Brian and read 6 books a day. I just can't do that.
That's all I do, folks. I just sit and read.
It's paid to read books.
That's it.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I feel like I always talk about Jake because he's the only one I know that talks about GGK on YouTube. So
I'm reading my second GGK book next month in May. I don't
know how I'll feel about him if I ever get to him. I've been talking every year. I say I'm going to read Tigana, and I never do.
I really enjoyed Tigana, and I don't give out 5 stars. All that easy. I'm kind of prudent when it comes to that, and that was an easy 5-star for me.
I was tempted to give Streets of Laredo a 5. I almost never do that.
You very rarely rate
like a 4.5, but it's a damn good follow up. So anyone that's listening to my voice right now, if you've not read Lonesome Dove, fix it. Read it now.
Agreed. I read it literally when you read it because you were about 200 pages ahead of me the entire time, and you just couldn't stop talking about how amazing this was. I was like, I have to read this. And then my mom did. My mom's in her 70s, and we did a buddy read of Lonesome Dove. It was fantastic.
Yeah, my wife read it right after me. She's going to read Streets of Laredo when we go on our trip here in June.
Cool.
Which should be fun. And
rock on, Tyson. Very cool.
Yeah, he says he likes it better than Dresden. So I really think I do want to make sure I get Alex Vera started next year.
Yeah.
Because I need something urban fantasy, I feel like. And I think it's like do you consider like Harry Potter urban fantasy? I was like, I don't really think that. I mean, when you really Buffy, I guess, would be kind of urban fantasy. But it's like I don't I'm reading a bunch of Buffy books. But I don't know. It's one of those things I never really feel like I knew that I needed. I knew that I liked it. I just never really knew that's what it's called. Because I'd watched Buffy for years, and Dresden Files was very much in that same vein, I felt like. And Jim even said, of course, that was an influence for him. But I feel like I need that Dresden Files stand in until it gets rolling again, So
for sure,
Alex Harris would be it.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video right when I got started on the channel, and it covered 5 urban fantasy series, kind of like from PG all the way up to, NC-17 for mature audiences only. And I had kind of Dresden at the second to the most, low key, not crazy over the top stuff. But Alex Verus moves closer to the middle, where it's a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more, I don't know if the word is raucous or just mature than Dresden does in terms of themes. And then Sandman Slims even pushes it further than that. So you kind of go from hero to anti-hero, where
Dang.
Alex
Philip.
Verus is kind of Alex
That almost
Verus,
sounded like a mama joke for a second. I was about to say, damn,
right?
Philip, calm
Right?
down.
Exactly.
Dang.
Alex Verus is sort of neutral.
All right. I get this question a
hero.
ton, and I want to see how you feel about it. How do you guys read multiple books at a time and keep track of characters, events, places? I tell people all the time, guys, don't you watch more than one television series at a time? It's the same thing to me. It's like, okay, I was like, I can't watch another show until I watch all 7 seasons of 24. I've never been like that. I've never been that. I would love to watch that new show, but I'm only on season 3 of Cheers. I've got to get to the whole thing. I've never ever understood why people have this issue. To me, it's not a problem. I mean, if you can't say you can't read 2 books at the same time, that's fine. You're saying you can't even read 2 series at the same time? I don't get that. It's no different to me. I have the same filing cabinet upstairs that I use for television, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, for me, I only sight read 1 book at a time, but I also always have an audiobook going at the same time. So I'm always, if you look at my Goodreads stuff, I've always got 2 books going simultaneously, just 1 sight read and 1 audio.
It's funny you say that, Brent, because that was the one that Jim Butcher recommended. That and Alex Verus was the 2 that he recommended to me while I wait for the next Dresden Files book. And that was 3 years ago. So, and everybody gave me a hard time because I was like, oh, it sucks. I got to wait for Dresden Files now. Like, dude, didn't you read like the first 16 without having to take a break? I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. Yeah, lots of love for Monster Hunter. And I know the guys that are like, okay, look, elephant in the room. I live in Texas. We know a lot about guns down here. Okay, but here's the thing: is like they don't just send them with like samples of Tide and detergent in the mail like they think that we do. But I do know that a lot of the people on my Discord that are real big gun guys are really, really into those books and say it's great because he understands the weapons. He's not. You can tell he's not just Googling what this gun was.
Right.
Like. He actually understands the weapons, and I think that's a nice touch. That's cool. It shows that he understands his content. So good for him. Good for him. Oh, yeah, Buffy's the best, man. Buffy's the best. Best. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, they're like, you all like all that CW tween stuff, but you talk about how much you love Buffy. I was like, yeah, it was different back then, man.
It's better, right? Exactly.
Well, I was like, well, you actually had a competent writing, and that was a good thing, and it didn't play all that like ridiculous bubblegum pop music that they play over the shows now and stuff. And anyhow, I did watch too much of I think what I loved Arrow when it first came out.
I was just about to say that.
I love the Oliver Queen character, and that first season was like
so good,
like adult and dark and messed up, and I loved it. It was so good. It had it had Captain Jack from Doctor Who as Malcolm Merlin. So good. I was loving it. It was great because he's kind of tapered off, and then by like the 3rd season, it became like the Felicity Smoke show, and it was just like, what's going on? What happened, guys? So it just seems like everything always kind of goes back that way on the CW, except Supernatural. Supernatural, I enjoyed pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, I absolutely. I was just about to say Arrow. The first couple of seasons was fantastic.
Oh well, nothing lasts forever. So
that's true.
And I always say like, oh, I don't like all that CW. Look, I'm not one of those who thinks every show has to be. Oh, it's not as good as Breaking Bad. Well, no shit. Most shows aren't as good as Breaking Bad. It's like not everything has to be, Emmy caliber for me to enjoy it. But something I did say was I had to get away from the content for content's sake stuff. I had to get away from this where you can tell they're just trying to get stuff out. I was like, dude, guys, I was listening to everybody being like, oh, I'd like to watch Succession, but I got to watch season 2 of Loki, and I'm this far behind on this, and I got to watch Mandalorian. I was like, dude, you walk away from Disney. Try something else. I see that there's other things out there, and so many people felt like liberated when they started watching like Succession and Shogun and things like that. I'm like, oh wow, this is just like such incredible storytelling. Why isn't there other things like this on TV? It's like it is. It is. You just have to, walk away from the house of the mouse. That's all. And I don't hate it. I don't hate them. I hate I hate the content for content's sake. Where we've got to. This one show is a hit. We've got to have 12 spinoffs and 3 movies for it, and it's just like, this just the oversaturation. It's terrible. It's terrible.
They keep going to the same well. I think that South Park episode was pretty good, where they had whatever her name is that runs Disney going into the AI bot to come up with their next shows.
Well, they were talking about during the strike, and I had a writer strike, and I had like a really probably unpopular opinion, just saying like, well, I mean, can AI actually be doing any worse? Have you guys watched some of these shows?
Yeah,
that didn't go over too well. But
that won't fly on BookTube, but yeah.
But the thing is, like, we will say every once in a while, just goofing off on AI, like, hey, write me a Guns N' Roses song if it had been a hidden track on Appetite for Destruction, and we were like reading, we're like this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm actually kind of scared to kind of mess with that stuff because it seems like I thought it could be get a little slippery slope there. And I have somebody I say, hey, quit using AI art in your thumbnails. I'm like, I'm not.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I just using a background replacer. I don't know. Slay, thank you so much. The new Priest album is freaking amazing. Those guys are so old and they just keep on jamming, man. It's amazing. That's like Halford's voice isn't what it once was, but he can still bring the power sometimes when he's got to. And I thought Firepower was excellent, but I think this one kind of is even better. So it's amazing that those guys are able. I never thought at 45 years old I'd still be getting new Priest albums, man. Really, and enjoying them. It's not just like paycheck, because I feel like Metallica's like paycheck mode. It's been 8 years. We got to put out an album just because everybody expects it.
And tour.
Priest is still putting out such just blistering records, man. It's just amazing they're still doing it. And Iron Maiden too, I think. I mean, a lot of people will say they don't really know how they feel about Iron Maiden, but I still feel like it's very listenable though. But New Priest is excellent, man. It's awesome.
Well, in preparation for tonight's show, I actually listened to Screaming for Vengeance start to finish and Stained Clasp start to finish today.
Man, Screaming for Vengeance, this might be the perfect freaking metal album. It's so good.
God. I mean, the intro with the Hellion and the Electric Eye, come on. Does anything start better than that? I don't think so.
The first time I heard that when I was a kid, I thought it was Ozzy. I thought it was Ozzy Osbourne.
It sounds a lot like Ozzy, yeah.
So good. Yep. Still a big old, like I said, guys can see my music collection. You guys will probably start laughing because it's. We had to move it to another room because it was like, I mean, look, I don't buy CDs anymore. I do if it's an artist I collect like Priest or some ones that I've collected every album they've ever made. It's just like this point, it's got to keep like
you got to do it
going, or just to support them. But yeah, I don't really buy them anymore because that's a space thing. Really, it's like I don't. My wife will pretty much say, look, you got to make a decision here. Something you've got to end because I collect coffee mugs, I collect beer glasses, I collect music, I collect video games, I collect books, I collect sneakers. You're running out of space in the house, and you're going to start taking over rooms.
I predict in 3 years it'll just be Mike's head in the frame, completely surrounded by books and sneakers and everything else, and it'll just be
Might not be wrong. Here's 2 things about that. I don't have vinyl. I don't have any vinyl because I didn't want to fall in that trap because that is a major collected. That can run some money, like big time, way more than sneakers. But Air Supply slaps. I don't care what anybody says. Look, I'm not one of those metalheads who thinks everything sucks. I just love
music.
Thank
you. I love Air Supply. Huge Air Supply fan. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those guys are great.
What's the worst TV show adapted from a book? Man, I never watched a Dresden Files show, so I can't say that. I actually have so many answers to this. For me, most of these is just like superhero stuff. Like I think about Birds of Prey. Oh my God, it might have been the most painful thing I ever watched.
I didn't see that one. The Flash was pretty bad, but that's not a book. That's comics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I always want to kind of fall back on superhero stuff.
Yeah.
I don't actually have an answer for this, like right away. Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. Because it's fan fiction. I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong on Dresden, by the way. I did see that when it came out, but I don't remember it being completely horrible. Rings of Power is pretty, yeah. Up, did Mike freeze again? Hey, everybody. Hey, bookworms, welcome back to the channel. Can you believe it's already coming into the month of May? It's great to have you here on the channel. Okay, so I'll take over the show now. Okay, so by the way, if you haven't yet seen my glass today, it says That's a Fact. Comes from one of my favorite 80s booktubers of all time. His name's Rick Thunder. You should check out his video.
So I'm going to blame my kids. They're using too much Wi-Fi. Maybe that's the problem. And I don't get it. I'm not on Wi-Fi. Why does it keep saying
it's cool? I pitched my merch. It's good.
People talking about air supply is like, dude, I was slapping some Peter Cetera in Chicago the other day. I don't care. If you see me walking by, that's, oh man, slaps. I love it. Whatever.
No doubt.
That's on TV show I actually liked. I actually liked it quite a bit. And I agree. Everybody always lists Dead Zone as one of the best King adaptations. But I'm like, look, I love Christopher Walken. He doesn't play John Smith like at all. And he's like full on creep show in that. But he's very, very spooky in that. And it's just Christopher Walken's style. But no, Anthony Michael Hall played him in the TV show. He played the character pretty good. Now it was like, did they drag the book on a little too long? Yeah. I mean, it was like 5 seasons of that show went on because they really did make it like a Monster of the Week, Client of the Week kind of thing, which made sense. It worked. But no, I like the Dead Zone TV show a lot. Harry used a hockey stick for a wizard's. oh, Rings of Power. I mean,
but I think the guy who played Dresden, God, he's a famous actor for TV.
Yeah,
I can't remember who it is, but
he was on Green Arrow also. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if they did Dresden, I think it'd be awesome if they did it just animated. I think it'd be really, really great if they did an animated version of it. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. Although now you've got me sucked into Avatar: The Last Airbender. Thank you very much. Come on, man.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, Paul Blackthorne. That's correct. Yeah.
John Blackthorne?
Yeah, right.
What was the first concert you ever went to? That's a fun conversation.
The first concert I ever went to was Heart.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw Heart when I was in like 1980. It was like there was like 3 concerts all within a month. In like I don't even think I was legal to drive yet. Heart in 85, ZZ Top, and
you got me whipped.
And Elton John. Yeah.
Yeah. My first concert was the fucking Monkees.
Oh God.
Again, Pentecostal parents, they weren't really into stuff like that. So
yeah.
Kind of like broke out of the show a little bit. Let's go see the Monkees. But here's the thing: is like me and my brother not super close, but I'll always be grateful to him because when I was 8 years old, he snuck me out of the house to go see Metallica opening for Ozzy Osbourne. So that was a rock concert in 1988. It was 1987. It was a Master of Puppets tour.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was going from the Monkees to freaking Metallica and Ozzy Osbourne.
And Ozzy, yeah, I'd say so.
It was like, oh my God, yeah. So that's
who was playing guitar for Ozzy on that tour? You remember?
I think it was Jake E. Lee. It was right after Randy. I think it was Jake
Okay, so it was the Bark at the Moon tour, maybe.
Yeah. And sad thing because the guy could cut it. He just wasn't Randy. He wasn't Zach Wild. You know, he's just kind of that in between. But
nobody's Randy. I mean, yeah, no doubt.
Tesla, Brent, man, you bringing out some old school.
Wow.
Ooh, I used to love Tesla, man. They were good. They did a really great cover of Signs. Yeah.
What's a band that you never saw that you wish you would have? I mean, there's probably a lot of them.
I still haven't seen U2. It's one of my favorite bands of all time. I've still never seen them. Every time they come, like, I'm just going to go, and it's like Upper Deck's like $600. I'm like,
right?
Just can't do it. But yeah, I wish I'd seen U2. I mean, and then there's like bands that like were broke up before I could have seen them.
Same.
I didn't go see Page and Plant, and I regret that to the day when they did the Page and Plant tour. I was like, I'm going to wait and wait and see if I can get some lawn tickets later for our pavilion that we have out here. And it's all lawn never sells out. And it's sold out for that show. And I drug my
Right.
feet because just
Didn't get
general
it done.
admission for the lawn. And I still to the day, like I am so bummed I missed that because I mean Zeppelin, that's my group, you know.
I have a crazy story. I don't think I've ever told you this. So when I was going to school in London, I went on a date to some kind, it was kind of like a small little music cafe, probably held about 250 people. And I happened to have a table right next to the stage, and there was nobody that was anybody knew that was going to be on stage that night. They close the doors. They don't let anybody else in. The MC guy comes out and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't want to announce this, but we have somebody who's going on world tour who wants to basically work out his set for this world tour. Please welcome Robert Plant."
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting there on this date, right? I immediately ignore the date for the entirety of the show. Robert Plant comes out. This is in 1991 and plays for about 2.5 hours. I'm literally sitting 6 feet away from the guy. Didn't expect any, I mean, we were just going to some music cafe. Unbelievable. He played a bunch of Zeppelin tracks. It happened to have been Jimmy Page's birthday that day. So he was like playing some extra Zeppelin songs because, he was talking about like, oh, it's my mate's Jimmy Page's birthday today. So we'll do some old school stuff.
Yeah. Besides like seeing Paul McCartney, that'd probably be like the only point where I'd say I just met like God or something. Yeah.
Right.
That'd be too much. Way too much. The closest thing anything ever like that ever happened to me was at this shitty little bar called Forget About It. And we're out. It's just a shitty little dive bar. They do live music, but it wasn't anything fancy or nothing. Like a huge tour bus pulls up and it's fucking Black Label Society, Zakk Wylde. And I'm like,
wow.
I'm a big fan. I love
Yeah.
And he apparently he knew the bar owner, and so he just comes and just starts playing some. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm seeing a Black Label Society concert, and there's like 50 people here. It was pretty amazing. Zack's super awesome. Bought all the drinks for everybody in the whole house.
Oh yeah, I've seen a bunch of interviews with him on YouTube, and he's just a dude. Yeah.
He's awesome. So there is an actor I had in mind for a Dresden Files live action. He played Billy on Black Sails. He's on that the Umbrella Academy. He's on. He's like the guy that's like a half gorilla or whatever. He's not that old, but he is like 6'11" or something like that. And he might be a little too buff maybe to play Harry, but I don't know. I think he'd do pretty good. I just don't know how Dresden works in live action. Yes, Brent, I still haven't seen Foo, and that's one of my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite modern bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Taylor died, and I was just like, well, I'm probably never going to see, is it just going to start to feel like, the Dave Grohl experiment at this point,
Kinda.
Which is fine. It's fine. I think about like we were going to go see Guns N' Roses when it was just Axl. And it was just like, it's just Axl Rose experiment. But when they had the reunion with Slash and Duff, I was like, one of those expensive tickets you have. And that was one of those. It was like amazing. That was in like 2016, 17, I think. And that show was amazing. We had floor seats. We were like row 8. And we fully expected. I mean, it's the nostalgia of it. It's not like, and they sounded amazing. Axl sounded incredible. I'm like, what in the hell? That was one of those, like, I paid a lot and I'd still would have paid more. It was good because Guns was my band all through.
Yeah.
Childhood.
I know Motley Crue's back on tour again, I think pretty soon.
Oh man, Vince, don't. No.
Yeah, I know. And I think they're doing a new record, and they said, like, I think the AI is basically running Vince's voice at this point.
It has to. Yeah. I thought Saints of Los Angeles was pretty good, but it was like that was a good swan song. You guys should go out on that note.
Yeah, right?
So that's why I'm glad, like, some of these bands I love, they go out before they reach that.
Right. But, right. Although then some bands go out way too soon, like Supertramp. I think could have gone for another 20 years.
Supertramp, watch out!
Couldn't get along, right? Oh, you got the old man on the channel tonight.
I mean, I could talk about dinosaur rock all day, man. I mean, we were playing the best of the Cars before we did this.
There you go, awesome.
Cars is one of those bands that, like, you don't realize how many hits they have until you listen to them back to back. You're like, my God, like every one of these been used for a movie.
Tons. How many times has Drive been in a movie? 1 million.
Well, I heard, what is it? Living in Stereo, is that what it's called? From Fast Times at Ridgemont High? And like immediately I'm like, Phoebe Cates.
Moving in Stereo.
Moving
Moving
is
and
good.
Scared.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the Phoebe Cates. Oh come on, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
to
so
me, I mean,
we talked about Judas Priest and Ozzy and Randy. And now we just moved to Chicago and Air Supply. Now we're into
right? Yeah, I mean that's what Talk About Nothing is about, right? I mean, wherever the conversation takes us.
Hey, Pantera is now a tribute band of itself, but I'm actually here for it because I know they're doing it out of pure. I don't know if Phil is, but I know that Zach is like full on like just a huge Dimebag Darrell fan. So he's being very very respectful of it. And I love Charlie from Anthrax. He's a great drummer. So if they had to do it that way, it's cool. I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them even if they're just like a cover band at this point. You're not going to find a better cover band than the one that's got Zach Wilde and Phil Anselmo in it. So I'm good for it. I was listening to some Pantera the other day. So that's why it's weird. Everybody thinks that if you're a metal guy that you only like metal. And I'm like, dude, I was playing
everything.
Man, I was playing Alabama the other day, man. I was like, I just love music, man. I love music. All
Same
kinds of it.
here. Same
But
here.
I have reached like old fart age where everything like new is like crap though. I finally turned to my parents. It's like if I watch like the American Music Awards, I am my parents within like the first 3 songs.
I don't even know what it is. Yeah.
Dude, no, I saw, man, Vince was done back in like 2008 was it. It was like, dude, he went all out to get really in shape for that. And you could tell his voice, he couldn't do that anymore. But dude, no. And it's not just because he got fat. I mean, it happens to a lot of people later in life. I get it. It's someone who's like lives in Bluebell country and there's a new ice cream that comes out and I got to eat the whole pint. I get it. I'm not judging anybody for that. But man, his voice is gone.
Yeah, I don't think it has
Molly
to do
Crew
with
was
weight
like
either.
the bad boys. I mean, did they really come off as the bad boys now? The
No.
bad dads? I don't know.
Yeah.
Talk about a band that couldn't get along. Whew.
Right? Oh, The Dirt was such a great book. Have you read The Dirt?
That's amazing. I tell people all the time, like, what's like the best like nonfiction you read? The Dirt, without a doubt.
The Dirt.
The most fun I have ever had reading the book. It's
agreed.
Incredible. Like I can't. And the thing was, I believe every single bit of it, though, especially the parts about Ozzy, like snorting ants.
Ants, yeah.
So I thought the movie was pretty good too. He did a good job for a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I mean, but that book was just, I mean, when they're telling the same story 4 times and you get 4 versions, fantastic.
I love rock biographies. I've got Bono's, I haven't read it yet, but I nonfiction, I tell people all the time, it's like it's either about like the presidential memoirs, books about the JFK assassination, which I've read tons on, and then rock biographies or just musical biographies. I love them. I can't get enough of them. And I just love that. I mean, I think everybody always wants to be a rock star at one point in their life, right? Why not?
I was planning on it. I mean, I legitimately thought through high school I was either going to be an actor or I was going to be a rock and roll piano player, singer. That's it.
You're going to be a baseball player or a rock star. I became neither.
Right?
I mean, who says I'm going to be a financial accountant? I don't think anybody really goes through school saying that. I don't know.
Yeah, well.
All right, man. What are you gonna read here? Let's start rolling this down here. What's on your schedule here coming up soon?
I've got some great books. I'm super excited. So, like I said, tonight I'm going to finish John's book, The Black Crown, and then tomorrow we begin Ashes of Man, which is extremely exciting to me. So that one, and what else do I got? Oh, then I'm doing The Lions of Al Rasan, GGK. After that. And what else do I got? I'm going to try to throw Mystic River in there at some point since I didn't get it this last month. What else do I have? Those are the big ones for May. I think those will probably eat up quite a bit. And it's interesting. Sun Eater books just tend to take me a little bit longer to read than usual because I feel like I don't want to miss anything. Yeah. So I sort of like intentionally slow down my pace. But I think
Quiet Gods here in probably another week or so, and I was like, I figure it'll probably take me the rest of the month. That's just what books do.
Yeah, and then I got my LitRPG I've got going on my Audible. So those books you'll have no idea about, so we won't go there.
I think that Brian has plenty more to talk about. I think Brian's like me. He doesn't really run out of things to talk about. It's not really a problem.
I'm just happy to be able to talk to people that I have common interests with. And I think that that's sort of my goal, moving forward in life is just associate with people that, I have things in common with. And certainly this is a huge part of my life. So it's awesome to have all these people here with similar interests.
Yeah, yeah, man. Keep hustling. Like I said, you and John's channels are growing a lot quicker than mine did when I first started. Honestly, so keep on keeping on.
Well, I mean, we learn. I mean, that's part of it too. Is that you had to do a lot of trial and error probably, where we had the benefit of seeing sort of a finished product.
My thing was
come
I
in.
was a podcaster, and I was like I wasn't willing to throw down a bunch of cash to do to make this actual quality. And yeah, it was I think I was like at 10,000 before I finally got a nice camera. So it was one of those things where I was like, I'm a podcaster. I'm not really into this. And that's why I still don't do a ton of video editing and stuff, because it's just like, it's not my thing. It's about the voice.
That's what I wish I had more time for, is to study editing, because I actually enjoy doing it. I might be one of the few people, but I really like it. I just wish I was better at it and had the time
I bought
to
the
take more classes.
really expensive editing software, and I couldn't understand any of it. So I just went back to the free more of that.
Sure.
Yeah,
my gosh.
It's something. But
somebody's asking, have I read Red Rising? Yes, I am current in Red Rising. Again, thanks to Mike. I would have had no idea about Red Rising.
And he's
I saw it at Barnes & Noble.
Lysander fan, guys. Like huge, like Lysander life t-shirt.
Total stand for Lysander. Absolutely. He goes right along with my Slytherin shirts.
Yeah. Well, man, tell everybody where they can find you in case they don't know. Where are you at in the socials and all that stuff?
Sure. I am at Brian Bell and then the number 7 on X and on Instagram. The BookTube channel is, of course, BellTube. And I would love you guys to stop by. I love engaging with people in the comments. We have just a fantastic community. It's just it's a great bunch of people. I think you'll probably find almost everybody there is also subscribed to Mike. So you're going to see a lot of common faces. I just have a blast. And, I don't know, Mike, this is, like I said, BookTube absolutely saved me 4 years ago. If you would have asked me 2, 3, 4 years ago, if I was going to be on Talk About Nothing with Mike, I would have said like zero chance. How would that ever happen? So yeah, that's how people find me. And like I said, I'm all about taking some chances. And if I can be sitting here with
great ideas, he has all kinds of crazy ideas that I would never have the courage to do. So there's that. I'm just curious though, is the 7 and Brian Bell 7, is that because you're just a huge Christian Ponder fan?
You had to do
that a blast from the past right there, or what?
You had to do it. I hope we just didn't draft the next one. No, the 7 is because the 7 is because my birthday is on a 7, which is actually a week from tonight. And we're going to be having a live stream, and you're going to see a lot of familiar BookTube faces join me. So a week from tonight on BellTube, stop on through. It'll be fun.
Hey, well, real quick before we go, better record next year. Texans and a ridiculously hard schedule, or the J.J. McCarthy-led Minnesota Vikings in the soft NFC North?
Question: Can a quarterback lead from the bench? Because I don't think he's going to be starting, at least not at the beginning.
Dude, within week 4, they're going to be.
He'll be out.
They shouldn't. They should let him sit for a year. But
I agree.
It's Sam Darnold, week 4.
Right.
Dude, actually, I think the first incomplete pass, first errant pass, fans will start calling for him. Right. You'll start hearing the cries from the crowd by like week 4, especially if you're like 0-4.
The sack with this first sack that leads to a fumble recovery. Yeah, it'll immediately be calling for number 9, which is strange because, he's number 9 in college. And when I grew up watching the Vikings, the quarterback when I was a kid was Tommy Kramer, number 9. So it's all come full circle again. So
you're going to be like an honorary. See, I feel like Texans fans are going to be honorary Vikings fans now because, you guys got Cash and you guys got Grenard. But we got Daniil Hunter, so,
Yeah, I mean, that guy is – yeah, sure. Daniil Hunter is something out of this world. I mean, if he wasn't injured 2 years ago, his numbers right now, career would be just bonkers.
Yeah, thinking about him with Will Anderson Jr. has got me.
You guys are going to be
smiling.
Yeah, and you have a defensive head coach. So, I mean, everything that you would want for a football team, you've got very possibly, if not for somebody like Mahomes, Stroud could end up to be at some point
A friend of mine's
quarterback of the
real
year.
big. He went to Texas Tech, so he's been a Mahomes follower, since they went to school at the same time. So he's a Kansas City fan, but he wants Houston to do well. But he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm hoping that I'm not talking to you in a few years, and we're all like, man, Mahomes could have had quite a run if that C.J. Stroud kid didn't show up. And I was like, man, I hope that does happen. That'd be a great conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a team, and like I say, I mean, as a Timberwolves fan that has been mired in misery for decades, I am so happy for you as a Houston Texans fan to finally have a team to get excited about.
You guys talking about in the comments, look, I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan because he's the one who built the team that I have right now. Never going to have him without you, Deshaun. If you thank you for being a weirdo, and I'm glad you're getting $64 million a year for the next 2 years, not from my team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good times. Well, we've got to talk about football here for a minute. And you know what, man, we're under 100 days until the preseason starts. So
it's exciting. Now we just gotta sign JJ to his extension, and away we go.
So were you for the JJ McCarthy? Because I was like making jokes, and you seemed like you were just like, "Oh yeah, come on, let's go." Or are you just being positive?
Being positive only because there was a lot of talk that we were going to get something done with New England to get Drake May, and
that'd have been nice.
But New England wanted the world, and it wasn't going to happen. So I love what we ended up with, and I love the fact that we got the other defensive. And I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Turner. So
I'm just laughing that there was 6 quarterbacks in the first round. It's like, you guys are reaching so hard. Bo Nix is a top 12 pick.
Don't you remember last year at this time we were talking about us ending up with Will Levis. So yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're talking about you guys trading up to get Will Levis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should probably go ahead and wrap this up. But it's guys, subscribe to Brian. Great dude, and he has really awesome content. And he's engaging in the comments. So make sure you leave a comment for him because it gets quite fun in there. So we'll be talking, I'm sure, very very soon. And Brian, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. This is a blast. Anytime, anywhere.
Y'all have